Today we have another Shimmeling build. We already made a one Shimmeling build. This is probably a bit more towards for the whales, but this build has so much more damage compared to the other Shimmeling build. But of course, you will sacrifice some survivability for it. And what are we using? Where in the skills, we are still using Exploding Palm, Wave of Light, of course, Shieldzen again, but now we are using Mystic Strike instead of the Flying Kick and Fist of Thunder naturally. You could maybe use Deadly Reach, but we are using Fist of Thunder now. And on the Legendary Essences, we are using Unyielding Doctrine with the Fist of Thunder, Twitching Palm, so we do get bit more damage with the first hit, and we do have the chance to get the 50% attack speed for 1 second with 10% chance when we are using our Fist of Thunders. Then with the Shieldzen, again we are using Intervening Law, and again we are using Enlightenment's Blessing to get the 25% movement speed and to get the dash from the Intervening Law. But again, if you do have the new chest that has 40% movement speed for 4 seconds, you probably might want to use that instead. In the helmet, we are not using Puritus anymore. Instead, with the palm, we are using Exploding Palm now has increased damage by 19% for 4 seconds. And we are using this because we cannot use Poke of the Wheels because we don't have Flying Kick. So we still want to get the 90% damage increase, and we do that with the Exploding Palm. And with the Exploding Palm, we are using also Obstruction of Omniscience, giving us the dash. And this also has the burn, so this is a bit better with the Shimmeling. It also gives us a bit more damage with the dots. And to be honest, this is probably one of the most damaging ability Monk has in its kit. Now, lastly, of course, we are using Shimmeling, and this just, well, makes your Wave of Light a Shimmeling, so you burst light or allies around you. And now we need not using Chastising Radius anymore. We're instead using Branding Bond to get the Lightning Strike. You could argue that you can use Traveling Scold, and you can use Traveling Scold if you want, but I do like the Lightning Strike more because this is instant compared to Traveling Scold, where you can get interrupted while you are using it. With this, you can instantly get there, use either Palm or use Shimmeling, like a Wave of Light, but basically you want to use them both. Now on the set pieces, again we have two choices. We are of course using the Augment's Conflagration that increase the duration of our ignites by 30%, which will include our Shimmeling and our Palm here this time around. And whenever you deal damage, you have 15% chance to attach an ignite to the enemy, dealing 17,000. Outside of the PvP, this is 10,000 with my resonance and stats inside the PvP. Now you have again two choices. Depends what you want to do with other pieces of the sets. You can use Grace of the Flagellant to get 15% increased damage to all the dots you use. You do also get about 10,000 damage every time you hit 5 times. And because we do have so many dots, this happens about every second or every other second. Now the other option that you can also use is the Gloomcoat's Price. With the Gloomcoat's Price, every time you dash you get 15% damage increase for 3 seconds, and you also get 22.5% critical hit chance every time you dash. And because we do have a Shieldzen that is a dash, we have Palm with 2 charges, that is a dash, and we also have Mystic Strike with 3 charges, which is good, a lot of dashes, so we should be able to have this up all the time we are fighting. So if you do want that extra damage instantly applied to the enemies, this is the go-to set. For me, I think I like Grace's set more, because with that I can just jump in and jump out instantly and just let the dots deal the damage. And as always, I want to give you some tips what combos you can do with the build, and I will start with my most common combo that I'm usually using, which will include starting with Mystic Strike to get to the enemy and also knock them a little bit so they are staggered and we have time to catch the Shimmeling afterwards, and then we get back where we were with our palm and we apply the dots and we increase the damage with the 19% afterwards. Now you can also start off with Fist of Thunder if you want to land on your target afterwards. This usually means you want to use primary attacks afterwards. In these clips, I wasn't using primary attacks afterwards, but this is how you can get on your target and keep hitting with primary attacks if you want to do that. And if you're going for a longer engage, I highly recommend using the combo. You don't really have to, but using the combo and just using the combo once again. That way you can engage a bit longer, you are still moving around, and you are still giving some CCs to your opponent. And the worst part is that we don't have a lot of CCs, which basically means that we just need to be on the move so people don't hit us with the CCs, so we can keep dealing the damage, as you can see over here. But basically you can use every skill in whatever order you feel like is the best, but what I found was that using the Mystic Strike first, Shimmerlin afterwards, and then palming out of the harm's ways seems to be one of the best ways to use it. Now if you are chasing someone, you don't really have to use the Mystic Strike, you can just Fist of Thunder to them, then palm over them and use Shimmerlin afterwards, so you are 100% hitting with all of the Shimmerlin to the enemy afterwards and you get the maximum damage out there. And because while you are chasing someone, they usually are not trying to hit you, they're trying to get away, so you can just use your maximum damage and save the Mystic Strikes if you happen to need to get away fast. I will still leave the rest of the gameplay over here, which you already have seen here. And this game was a loss, and I think it's important to show a loss here because this build doesn't support your team a lot. It just does a lot of damage and a lot of dots. So even if you are doing really well with this build, it doesn't guarantee that you are going to win. If you just want to win, there might be a better builds for a support kind of build where you can support your team a little bit better compared to this build. Now if you do have some really good support players in your team, this build can be really good, but if you are all just out for the damage, you cannot really push the idol with this build because you're just going in and out and dealing damage. But for that, this build is really good, as you can see over here.